and then I'll go reboot the radio. And there you guys are. Thankful Thursday, live on Zoom. Good morning, everybody.
Guess Sharon's not coming, huh?
Good morning. Is Sharon
No,
not?
Sharon's in Philly today.
Okay.
Remember, she said she was taking a trip, so she was going to be gone.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll start. We're on the review of lessons 153 and 154, which is lesson 172, says, God is but love, and therefore so am I. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Excuse me. God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am among the ministers of God. God is but love, and therefore so am I. So good morning. Good morning, Dove, and Cher is in the room, and good morning, Lynn. And our prayers are with Lynn's great granddaughter who's going through surgery today, and prayers with Sharon and everyone. So I'm going to start in the middle of Ken Wapnick's journey through the workbook and start with paragraph 2, lines 3 to 6 in the lesson 153, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. Yet is defensiveness a double threat, for it attests to weakness and sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escape from its imaginings. And Ken says, the ego tells us our minds are weak because God will destroy us, and our only protection is to project the thought system of guilt and make a world and body. Yet the body is even weaker than the mind. You have only to touch it and it can fall. Look funny at it and it is devastated, while the smallest of microorganisms is enough to destroy what seems to be this powerful and majestic body. To think of the body as safe and secure, as the ego had convinced us, is a joke. The key point is that the ego says the body will protect us against the mind's weakness of sin, namely, God will vengefully destroy us. Yet the defense itself breeds further fear, for its inherent weakness invites self-perceptions of vulnerability and attack. I'm going to skip a little forward. It says, believing in the cloak of specialness, which is our body and our personality, we say the world and body are wonderful, describing them as holy or sources of pleasure. Yet the body is no different from the mind because it was made to conceal the mind's ego thoughts and ideas leave not their source. I love this because it took me years to really understand that the world, excuse me, the world that seems to be outside of us is, one, actually not there, and two, that the world was meant to conceal our true identity, our oneness with God, that we are the Christ. And it was only as I let go of the ego over and over and over and again, and abide more in the Christ self, that I actually see this, and I can see it as it comes up, to where when the threat gets there, and or I can't, the love of God is too scary, then it's like, let's rush back to the world. Let's try to attain things in the world. Let's try to make the body healthy. Let's try to get money. Let's try to achieve things in the world, or explore, or go on adventures. And I started noticing that in meditation, if I would get close to oneness, then my mind would go off to things in the world. And it's like, oh my gosh, this course is true. This world really is a way of concealing our true identity. And I can see it everywhere now, because at first I didn't really understand this. It was an intellectual concept. I could get that, but experience the world and the body as a protection and as a shield from God, that was just an idea to me. And now it's actually a reality. And I can see it. I had an interesting, funny thing with my granddaughter yesterday. She's 2, and she was running across the room, and there was a book, board book, which is a heavy book, on the floor, and she hit the book with her toe. And ow, that hurts. And her toe started bleeding. and she's crying. She's, oh, and so I go and get a washcloth and cold water and I put it on her toe, and then she of course has to show her mom. Let's show your mom where you did your bleeding toe. And we always have to show our body wounds, don't we? We have to discuss our body ailments. And so I said, let's put a Band-Aid on it. So I let her pick the Band-Aid color, and I'm going to put the Band-Aid on her toe, and she didn't want the Band-Aid on her toe. She put the Band-Aid on her thigh. So I realized it's like, this is what we do with the world. So we put the Band-Aid on the thigh, and now the toe is all better. And the thigh has nothing to do with the toe. And it's the same thing that we do. We think that, we are these bodies and these personalities. And if I get that house, or if I get that job, or I get that money, or I get that relationship, or that particular trip that I want to take, or this accomplishment that I want to make, we think that that is going to make us happy, when the source of our unhappiness is that we have forgotten that we are one with God. We have forgotten that we are the Christ, and we can't have any needs because they're all already met. And we've forgotten that we are spirit, and that our only happiness is when we sink into that knowing of who and what we are and where we are with God right here, right now. So we think that the Band-Aid on the thigh is going to help the bleeding toe. And we think that job or that accomplishment, oh, now I feel good. Now I feel safe. Even getting over an illness, oh, now I feel safe. No, that it's always going to be temporary. We will never feel safe from any achievement or attainment in the world. Sure, we might have a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of accomplishment, that what Ken talks about, that cloak of specialness. Oh, I did this, I went here, I went there. And we look at Facebook, and people are posting where they go and what they're doing, and aren't I special, and aren't I achieving all these different things. And that's one of the reasons on Facebook that I would never post trips I took or anything like that, because it's obvious that it's like the ego saying, wow, look at me, but that's what we do. And so I can say I would never post it on Facebook, but internally I would feel it. Oh, look what I did. Oh, look where I went. Look the experiences I had, that little cloak of specialness that I could see. And it's not where it's going to help us. So in my defenselessness, my safety lies. In my defenselessness is, I am the Christ. I am as God created me. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to do anything except as I'm guided to do, in order to make everything whole and healed. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dov.
Okay, that was a nice opening. Another opening of another show. Yeah, I picked up on your going to an idea cannot leave its source. Prudence plays Ken Wapnick all year long, and she has a library of his workshops of over 100, probably like 110 of his workshops. And most of them take a day or two, but she just completed an idea cannot leave its source, does not leave its source. And that workshop took literally, I don't know, 6-7 days. I couldn't believe it. Every day we're on the same topic. An idea cannot leave its source. So obviously this is a biggie. And I've been listening for the last week. And today he completed it. And at the very end of it, or towards the end, he said, listen, the only thing you really need to do is I need do nothing. And then he spoke about, of course, that very famous chapter 18, section 7. See, if an idea cannot leave its source, if an idea does not leave its source, then why do you think you have to do anything? Only the ego does things. I got to do this in order for this to happen. And it's always about doing something for the future. Where in the present, I really need do nothing. I'm going to put up something that also spoke to me this morning from Ken Wapnick, and that is from text chapter 15, section 5. And he's talking about whenever you see a brother is different, whenever you see someone as, they should be better, whatever. This is what it says, and I'll take a look at the paragraph, and we'll stop where I think I want to emphasize. It says any relationship that you would substitute for another has not been offered to the Holy Spirit for His use. There's no substitute for love. If you would attempt to substitute one aspect of love for another, you've placed less value on one and more on the other. And then it goes on to say, you have not only separated them, and remember, separation is the only sin. So you think one is better than another, I like this, I don't like this. That's a sin, because what God creates is whole, complete. There's no separation. It's all equal, the same. And it says, you have not only separated them, but you've also judged against both. Yet, and here's the part I wanted to focus on, yet you had really judged against yourself first. So if you didn't judge against yourself, you wouldn't see anything else out there as separate. So we have judged against ourselves first. And that's where all of our belief in our, well, that person I like and that person I don't like. No, we've judged against our true self first. So the false self, which is the ego, sees things as different, because I don't really like myself. I see others, I like them, I don't like him, I like her, I don't like him, whatever. Yet you had judged against yourself first, or you would never have imagined that you needed your brothers as they were not. You look at your brothers as they are not. So if you look at them as they are you. That's what the holy instant is. In the holy instant, we join in mind, not in body, in mind. My brother is myself. And that is the truth, by the way, because there's only one self. There's not 8 billion or 8 million or 8,000 or 8 or 2. There's one. As Ken likes to always say, Jesus wasn't good at math. He couldn't count past 1. There's only one. Believing in separation, many. And, as you find in every dollar bill, e pluribus unum, from many, one. So, even the people that founded our country understood unity or union, and union is truth. In fact, that's a 2-word sentence, 3-word sentence in chapter 14, section 7. Truth is, and then you cease to speak. And then the next paragraph, he says, truth is union. It's joining, joining. And you know how I spell joining, Joy, joining. So the joy is remembering the truth. And of course, I want to mention again, we're back in touch with, I'm back in touch with Mandy Soak, who was a guest teacher here many years ago, and she's back. She has a brand new book, which I love, and I bought a copy of it already. She'll be maybe a guest here. Maybe Lynn and I will maybe interview her. But the name of the book is what really excites me. The name of the book is Isness is Your Only Business. Now, I've been saying that for years, that, God is, truth is. So it's not about God or truth or love or peace. It's an isness. Isness is everything that there is. It's a verb. It's not a noun. Like if you think of God, well, God is a person. No, God's not. It's an isness. It always is, this eternal isness. So that's the name of her book, and Amazon just sent it to me. I haven't looked at it yet, but I looked at the preface is by Sebastian Blakesley, who is a channel that he has from Jesus. The name of his book is called The Age of the Heart, which talks and has a huge following. Lynn and I and a number of people here go there every Monday around 8:30 Eastern time. And Glenn Hoverman, the publisher, has a Zoom session that probably 50, 60 people attend almost every Monday night. They're all obviously readers and followers of Sebastian. And Mandy writes the introductions and is the voice for his for some of his audios, I think, on Choose Only Love, which is one of his other books. And he writes the foreword for her book. So it's almost like we're all coming together in this oneness, in the sameness. And it's like I have the saying, we live in a sea of synchronicity within an ocean of love. And that's been my experience since Mandy showed up on the scene only about 2 or 3 days ago, maybe, about 2 or 3 days ago. And it came just in time. I'm doing a session next June 25th, I think it's a Tuesday, on quantum counseling, which is part of Jennifer Hadley's. She has a 1-year thing. She has many teachers. She has John Mundy, Gary Renard, a whole bunch of teachers. And this is going to be my session. And I always know the Holy Spirit shows up just before I do a session with something for me. And obviously, I'm going into this with my new way of seeing isness is your only business. And that's like saying God is, and I have a list of Ken Wapnick quotes, which I think I sent to anyone who wants the Ken Wapnick quote. If you haven't gotten one, just send me an email to acmgather7@gmail.com, which is my email, and just write the word Ken in the subject line, and I'll send it to you. There's about 60 quotes. The one that I really love is, he says, in the whole course of miracles, the only thing that's true, imagine this, the only thing that's true in the whole course of miracles is God is. It's an isness. That's reality. And with that, I'll just turn it back on over to you, love.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I love that. Isness is your only business. And actually, in my meditation this morning, that's what I was doing. This is confirmation, and I appreciate this. I was looking at abundance, and I think of abundance is health, is life, is God is. So all these attributes of God, they just are. They is. God is, life is, love is, truth is, abundance is, health is. Because if God is perfection and God creates only life and light, then health is seen as wholeness. Health is. And we look at nature, and nature is so abundant. One tree can produce a million other trees. When you look at all the seeds that trees produce, or any plant, it's just amazing. Nature is so abundant. And when you look at the trillions of functions in our bodies, in our cells, and all that, trillions, I can't even conceive of a trillion anything. And yet it's going on every second of every day in your body. All these functions are going on, and not that God created the body, because God didn't, but our mind is so powerful, and we created bodies. And with that power of God's mind, look what we created. It's amazing, just amazing what we created. So this morning, I was feeling, in the last day, I was feeling very guilty. Like, I have been working on money issues for 25 years and failure, total failure, total failure. And I can say that the one success is that I don't worry about money like I used to. And that is a success because it's like, I just know things are taken care of. But from the world standards, I'm at poverty level or close to it. And yet I live this amazing life. I am so abundant. And that's what I've been feeling in the last number of years. I feel wealthy. I feel abundant. But then I decided, well, I really want more cash flow. So I've been working on it, so to speak, for the last 6 months. And, knowing that it has to be in my consciousness that I'm worthy of cash flow. And I have had fewer clients and less cash flow in the last 6 months that I've been working on it than I have in years. And so I was thinking, what is going on with this? And it has to be that the ego decides this is what abundance looks like, or this is what I should be doing, or this is what, if I'm successful, this is what it has to look like. And that is total ego because it doesn't really matter. I mean, when I get into my meditations, I know that success and failure are the same thing. They're both part of the ego judgments, and it means nothing. And yet that part of the ego that is so identified with that it's like, well, I must be failing somehow. I just must be failing somehow. So in this morning's meditation, as I was looking at it, I'm going, wait a minute, that is just all ego. Who am I? What am I? And I settled into, well, abundance is, and I am. And therefore, I am abundance, but it doesn't have to look like any specific thing. Like I've been saying, it has to look like I have so many clients and I make so much money. And if I don't, then I'm a failure. Well, even sitting in abundance is, I am, it's like there's more than that, because I always feel like the I am is part of the world of separation, and the Christ is behind the I am. The Christ is total formlessness, total God and everything. And so I was sitting in that and going, yep, this is it. This is it. I'm actually, when I think of this and say this and feel this, it's like, I'm so glad I didn't get more clients from this meditating on higher cash flow, because then I'd be stuck in the ego, like, oh, there I am, looking to the external for verification of my worth. All my bills are paid. I have no debt. I have an IRA. I am very abundant. I live this amazing life. But again, if you look at it in terms of the metric that our society puts on as far as making money, total failure. I'm just a total failure on that. It was really funny. Years ago, I went to buy a car, and I was talking to the car guy, and he asked me how much money I made, and I told him, and he made a face. It was like, what? Like, oh my God, how can anyone make so little money? And yet I drive this car, and I just love this car, and it's wonderful, and it's paid off, So Lynn, I know you wrote something on the board here. Oh, it's in the script. You have abundance now. Yeah. And the script is, it is about the dream figure, and it doesn't even matter. The dream figure is not who I am. And so getting back to what we were talking about earlier, your only happiness and your only safety comes from sitting in the I am, which, or you can say I am the Christ or whatever, or sitting. I like how Nisargadatta says it. He goes, you are not the I am, you are before the I am and beyond the I am. So the I am, I always feel is what's here in the appearance of a material world. Anyway, that's a big long thing of what is consciousness, what is the I am, what is the Christ. But that's what I came to, what you were saying, isness is my only business. So that feels really good when I just sit in, what the heck, money, no money. I mean, I'm so grateful that things are taken care of. That's what the Course tells us. You will have needs here, and they will be met. But when I I get the ego in there and say, it has to look this way, or I'm not proving myself. Well, total ego, and it means nothing. So I'm going to turn that back over to you now, Dov.
Wow, that was really neat listening to you. Yeah, it's like focusing on mind, not on form, but content, and content, we use the word content, but content is really, for me now, I realize it's purpose. Purpose and content for me now is the same, because in purpose, you're saying my purpose is oneness, my purpose is God, my purpose is isness. It doesn't have to do with the things of this world. I totally agree with you with regard to the money. When your mind is trying to manipulate things so that you don't seem to have no cash flow, it's really about developing trust. You come to a place where I think I heard you say you don't have those fears anymore. I need to do this, I need to do that. You actually trust that everything is going to flow, and it's not that you need more, you just need your needs taken care of. And as you say, it's amazing, my lifestyle is I do everything I want to do, and I think that is what the Holy Spirit is here to make sure that what you need is taken care of, not what you want. Always reminds me of that Rolling Stone song, and you don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. So, yeah, that takes a certain amount of trust. Like right now, I don't even have a Zoom session I'm looking at. Somehow I lost it on my screen, but I trust that I'm being heard and seen, and I'm looking at literally a picture of my Google, and that's all I see. Or I could look at my desktop, that's all I see. I can't find the Zoom, but I know the Zoom is here because I heard your voice and you were speaking to me. So I know I'm not disconnected from the Zoom. But you got to laugh. You don't have to use your body's eyes to know that you're connected. We're all connected. I mean, that's the whole idea of seeing your brother as sinless. That wonderful question. Do you really want to see your brother as sinless? And he's not asking you, did you want to see that your brother is not a liar? He's saying that you want to see your brother is connected, joined with you. And the answer is, of course he is. Of course I want to see him sinless, because that's the truth. And only the truth is true and nothing else is true. That's the entire Course of Miracles. Literally, he tells you that in the introduction. That which is true can't be threatened. That which is untrue doesn't even exist. Herein lies the peace of God. And then we go through the whole Course of Miracles. You get to chapter 31, the last chapter. And as Ken Wapnick says, the last chapter is the whole Course of Miracles repeated again in chapter 31. And he starts off with the simplicity of salvation. And he says, what could be simpler than to say what is true is always true and what is false is false? You got to laugh. You simply got to laugh. Turn the mic back on over to you. Maybe I'll find the Zoom again.
Well, the Zoom is there because I heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And what he's saying, what is true and what is false. I keep coming back to that. And it's amazing when we are so identified with the ego that we don't even see that we are living in it. And the other day I was at the beach and I found myself judging all the bodies, all the fat bodies, all the bodies that were showing too much skin, judging my own body as this old lady, wrinkled body. And then I realized, what am I doing? What am I? I'm making the world real. I'm making bodies real. And the good thing was, at least I noticed that. So then I can choose again. again, because that's what the ego does. And you're swimming in it so much that you don't even know you're doing it. And then what you said, Dove, about trust. Yes, there is a sense of trust. And as I go through things about making the world better, I always, always, always end up coming back to, wait a minute. The only thing I trust in is that God is. Abundance is, God is, health is. I do trust that, but I don't trust anything in the world of form because it always fails. And you were doing the Rolling Stones, I can't always get what I want, but I get what I need. And that has been proven over and over and over to me. So, but the ego has been so identified as a person who is, in this case, as a therapist who's a good therapist. And then I go, well, then why don't I have more clients? Why, what is going on? How come I can't get more money and other people can? And well, that's just ego. That is just ego. And it means absolutely nothing. And it would be something that is trying to make me safe in the world. Well, I'll be safe if I can just always have as many clients as I want who pay my full fee, because I would always end up lowering my fee for people. And then I'm thinking, well, then I got to change my consciousness so that I can make more money and attract people who can afford to pay my fee. And then that is, again, it's like, is that in my defenselessness, my safety lies? No, that's my defensiveness. I have to make a certain amount of money and then I'll be safe, whether I have a partner who provides for me or not. And it's all crap. It all means nothing. So there's a quotation from the course here in Ken's Journey Through the Workbook on Lesson 153 from Chapter 4, Section 4. And it says, the body is the ego's home by its own election. Here is where the mind becomes actually dazed, being told by the ego that it is really part of the body and that the body is its protector. The mind is also told that the body cannot protect it. Therefore, the mind asks, where can I go for protection? To which the ego replies, turn to me. The mind, and not without cause, reminds the ego that it has itself insisted that it is identified with the body. So there is no point in turning to it for protection. The ego has no real answer to this because there is none, but it does have a typical solution. It obliterates the question from the mind's awareness. Once out of awareness, the question can and does produce uneasiness, but it cannot be answered because it cannot be asked. So we forget that we are one with God and we think that we're the body. And even, the ego says, turn to me. And, but then it reminds itself that it is identified with the body. So there's no point to turning to it for protection. So the ego gets you coming and going. So once you even realize that you've identified with the body, when you wake up to that, you go, oh, I can't go to that. I can't go here. I can't go there. And this is wherever you go, you face problems. And that's it. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was feeling this the other day, and chapter 31, I think it is 31 or 30, talks about this, that men have died upon seeing this. When they recognize that there is nothing in this world that will ever help them or heal them or fix them, they just want to die. And I was feeling that a couple of weeks ago, like, and I feel it every once in a while. It's like, oh, there I go. I'm looking to the world. And if I'm not getting this in the world, then what the hell? It's all lost. But even in that, what I'm so grateful for is that I know that God is, and there's that trust. And I'm just so incredibly grateful to always come back to that my whole life. And we all have it. It's just a lot of us don't turn to it. We just avoid it. we look elsewhere. We're so caught up in our lives, and we forget that God is always talking to us in the background, calling us home. So I'm going to turn this back over to you, Dove.
Oh,
Lorri, Dove, Lorri, I want to, but anyway, I don't feel like I've grown any in this course.
Okay, so you're asking what would I do with Sunday? Have you prayed to say, okay, Holy Spirit, what go with me, be with me. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me, that one, where you take the Holy Spirit in with you and have it guide you.
I feel like I've done that, but then the ego just comes right back in the way. And I keep saying the course, Eckhart Tolle says, if you don't bring the past with you.
Yeah, I hear you. That part about I haven't even grown. When I was saying I looked at I've been doing this for 25 years, no external change. It's like, whoa, what a failure, right? So the one thing that has worked has always been when I know that I'm not the body, I'm not the personality. So have you looked at that in terms of asking to be shown, I am the Christ self, I am the Holy Son of God himself, I am not Cher. I am not Cher with all my past.
Yeah, I just have to stay focused.
Okay, so right now, take a deep breath and just ask the Holy Spirit, what do I need to know right now?
I don't know, Lorri, I still have so much anger. I just have so much anger about the bullshit.
Yeah, and it's okay to be angry. Okay, so just take another deep breath. And just ask the Holy Spirit, do I even need to go on Sunday?
Feel like I'd be letting my mother-in-law down. She's been a wonderful mother-in-law. She's 97.
So when can you see her and see your niece at different times so that you don't have to be around these other people right now?
I still feel like I need to go this time. Like I said, I've missed 2 years. I come into these rooms and it just doesn't help.
Yeah. And it doesn't help when we are, stuck in the ego thought system. But one thing is, to even have compassion for yourself that you're stuck in the ego thought system, and pray for help to move into the Holy Spirit's thought system where you see this differently. Because when you hate yourself on top of hating yourself, on top of hating them, then it doesn't help, because it's like the Course says, it's one thought system or the other. And when you're stuck in the one, it feels horrible, like where you're at right now.
And Lorri, you said it. It's got to be me, because like I said, I have been most of it.
What is the most loving, compassionate thing you can do for yourself right now?
I guess forgive myself, because now I'm feeling bad about coming in. It's just y'all three in here. So, right. I might be on the radio or whatever, but I don't know. I'm just so tired of everything.
Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for all the ego pain that's going on, which we all have. We all have it. And when we're stuck in it, it's hell. You're in hell right now. And so forgiving yourself for putting yourself in hell. Yeah, that's a good idea. So take a deep breath and just offer yourself forgiveness.
Well, what would you do if you went into a room that people and you felt like you needed to go, and these people don't like you?
I'd probably find a way not to go, to be loving to myself and say, you know what, I'll connect with these other people later. If I can, I put myself in a situation that I know is going to be bad, and I'm not in the place now where I'm strong enough to rise above it. And if I'm not strong enough, I'm going to be loving to myself and do what I, ask the Holy Spirit, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Which is from lesson 71. And, the ego might be saying, you got to go no matter what. Now, the Holy Spirit may say you should go, but if you do go, you will have help with you. You are not meant to walk into hell and stay there.
Thanks, y'all. I didn't mean to disrupt.
But you can see how that also shifts, because Sharon, who's not here today, was one of the most rabid people about, oh my God, we're going down. I can't stand him. And now she's like, hey, Trump, Biden, Kennedy, whoever. She goes, it doesn't matter. And so you see the changes that people make when they disidentify with their ego.
Well, I know Sharon and I and Lynn too didn't talk to him for 2 years. And I'm so glad we didn't let that bullshit come between our friendships, thank God, right?
Thank God
But
for that. No kidding.
I mean, that was stupid.
That
Every
was
time
hurt.
I
That
think
broke
about it,
my
I still
heart.
don't,
Yeah, it did hurt me too, and because I didn't want to be mean to you. I was like, what is happening here to me that I'm, saying things that I know is hurting somebody else that I love, and I realized it was nothing. I mean, really, it was just me being full of bullshit,
well,
and
and me
I
too,
gave it
because
up.
it was so stupid, and I didn't even mean to bring that up, but but I still feel that hurt. I'm not really good. My husband says, you never let anything go, and David tells me that, but if you can't let it go, you can't let it go.
Well, no, you can't let it go till you're done with it. It's just like anything else. You cannot let it go until you're done with it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be done with it until you come to some kind of terms with it.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You just have to, and the forgiveness is important, but it's you forgiving yourself for thinking that you're something that you're not, and that you're setting yourself up to be hurt by other people because they don't see who you are. You see who you are. You're invincible. Seriously, what you are is absolutely invincible. So, what is it that's being hurt here? That's what you got to look at, and just tell it, no, I'm not going to let you hurt me anymore. Tell yourself, I'm not going to let you hurt me anymore. This is enough, is enough, is enough, is enough. And I'm telling you right now, I don't want you hurting my friend Sharon anymore. I want that to be over with.
Yeah, I'll know Zoom was here. My worst sentence in this course is the secret of, and David used to tell me all the time, secret of salvation is you're doing it until yourself. Well, I know I'm doing it. I gotta stop. So anyway, I love y'all. Thank you.
It
I didn't
doesn't
mean
help
to.
just to know. That what I'm saying. That. It doesn't help to know that. I know that too. I still do it. So there's something I'm getting out of it, and we got to heal together.
Thank
Yeah,
y'all. I'm done.
yeah. I love you, sweetheart.
I
Thank you,
love
thank
y'all.
you, thank you for being here and speaking up. And
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I appreciate that so very much.
I'd like to say a few things before our hour is over. It isn't that we need not to let these people go outside of us. It's the ego thought system that we have to let go of. It's not people. People are just lessons that we came here to learn. But the ego is running our mind. Now, I happened to go to Amy Torrey's meeting yesterday. She does a session on Wednesday at 12 o'clock, and I went. And she did the whole session on lesson 23. And you want to know something? As much as I know the course, I really didn't know lesson 23. And I'd like to just start it right now, just to read the first paragraph or so. It says, I can escape from the world. In other words, I can escape from these people I see by giving up my attack thoughts. It says the idea for today contains the only way out of fear that will ever succeed. I'll repeat it. The idea for today contains the only way out of fear that will ever succeed. Nothing else will work. Everything else is meaningless, but this way cannot fail. Every thought you have makes up some segment of the world you see. In other words, those people who are hypocrites, they say one thing and they go to church and they do that. They're all hypocrites. That's right. That's an attack thought that they say one thing, they are dishonest and they lie, and I can't stand them. That's an attack thought. It's with your thoughts then that we must work if your perception of the world or those people is to be changed. I'll just do paragraph 2 and then I'll stop. If the cause of this world that you see is attack thoughts, you must learn that it's these thoughts which you do not want anymore. There's no point in lamenting the world, lamenting those people. There's no point in trying to change those people. It's incapable of change. They're always going to be that way because it's merely an effect. And yes, Dove says the secret of salvation is I'm doing this to myself. I'm the cause. I'm the cause. Those people are just effects that they are not going to change. So my attack thoughts are making them an enemy. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about them. Here you are changing the cause, the effect will change automatically. And I'll just write what I wrote in the empty space here. You got to laugh as you discard your attack thoughts. Attack thoughts are just judgments on myself. Attack thoughts are judgments on myself, and I see it in other people. Projection, guilt is projected out, and that's what I see. I'm only seeing what it is I don't like about myself. Now, that's about as coarse as you can get. And if it doesn't help, well, go to the Holy Spirit and say, how can I see this differently? That's the whole course. How can I see it differently? Thank you so much for letting me share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Cher. Okay, we're turning this over to Zulma now. And so thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank y'all.